murder is being pinned on him. He maintains his innocence. Unfortunately, he was found guilty. Semi said that the murdered 14-year-old boy, Ryan Rogers, was the victim of human sacrifice by shadowy organizations. He also claims the boy's family was involved in this human sacrifice and that the police are covering it up. Semi said that at the time the incident took place, he was homeless and walking down a street near the woods. He first heard cries for help coming from the woods. He approached the sound of the cries and found the boy's body lifeless on the ground. He said he saw the real killer running away but couldn't make out their face in the darkness. He was trying to help the boy and lift the bicycle off his lifeless body, and that is how his personal items fell at the crime scene. He also touched the body in an attempt to save the boy's life. Semi said that prior to seeing the boy's body, he had been gang-stalked and tortured with electromagnetic frequencies from devices. He claims he was being targeted by police and many others. He had been on the run through several states and cities across the U.S. before ending up in Florida. Video timestamps are in the description.
We begin this hour with breaking news. The man accused of killing a Palm Beach Gardens teenager in 2021 has taken the stand for the first time in his murder trial.
Semi Williams Jr. is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 14-year-old Ryan Rogers. We want to take you live inside that courtroom where Williams took the stand about an hour ago in order to, quote, tell his side of the story. Prior to testifying, the judge asked Williams several times if he understood the consequences, positive or negative, of speaking, and he said yes. Once on the stand, Williams argued with his own defense for not going in order of the questions they had agreed upon, causing the court to go into a recess at least twice. When he did answer questions such as why he was in Miami and if he lived anywhere else prior, Williams would talk about, quote, the organization that he says has been following him since childhood. Williams believed he was being targeted by doctors, law enforcement, and others.
I came aware of them maybe around 2010, and so
How did you become aware of them in 2010?
So basically, I was just on a train one day.
Williams also insisted to the judge that he wanted to fire his attorney. And about 30 minutes ago, the jury was sent home for the day as attorneys argued over some trial details. We are working to learn when the state will get the chance to question him.
Hey, y'all, I just walked out of the Palm Beach County Courthouse, and boy, did we just hear a bizarre defense in the murder trial I'm covering. I'm Terry Parker, investigative reporter. I've been telling you about the story of Semi Williams. He's charged with killing a 14-year-old boy, Ryan Rogers, who he just encountered in a chance random meeting on a quiet street in a safe neighborhood. So Semi Williams' defense was insanity. He dropped that on the first day of trial and said, I'm going to plead not guilty. We didn't know what his defense was going to be. His DNA is all over the crime scene. However, we learned today his attorney told the jury that he was there, that he was being stalked in Miami by a gang of unspecified individuals. It was being called gang stalking, that he was being tormented and tracked, and that in order to get away from them, he came all the way up to Palm Beach Gardens, which is about an hour and a half away, and he ran into Ryan Rogers because he went down into the woods. He saw Ryan Rogers lying on the ground. He didn't know what he could do to help him. He was unconscious, and because Semi Williams needed to get away from those tormentors and those trackers, he just left. But in the confusion, he dropped his headphones, he dropped his sunglasses, and the DNA on those items is how police tracked him down and ultimately charged him with this murder. So that's his defense. The first witness was Ryan's mother. All she said was she just described him leaving that night to go for an after-dinner bike ride, and she never saw him again, and she sobbed on the stand. It was hard to watch. Anyway, testimony continues tomorrow. We will find out if this defense makes any headway with this jury. Semi Williams faces life in prison.
Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Todd McDermott.
And I'm Felicia Rodriguez. On the day that the prosecution rested its case, Williams took to the witness stand for the first time. As investigative reporter Terry Parker tells us, Williams still wants to fire his lawyers.
Semi Williams was the first witness in his own defense. He got on the stand and immediately started talking about how he has since childhood been tracked by shadowy organizations. He named the Masons, the Illuminati. He said he was on the run from the law, starting down in Miami, coming all the way up to Palm Beach Gardens to get away from his tormentors. He hasn't gotten to the part in his testimony yet about when he encountered victim Ryan Rogers, but He claims that he did not kill Ryan. Williams is charged with brutally stabbing 14-year-old Ryan Rodgers to death in Palm Beach Gardens while the boy was on a neighborhood bike ride 4 years ago. Williams got on the stand claiming he was the one who was targeted.
I realized the police was after me, and they was kind of saying that I was a bad guy. So so they was kind of like talking to me through like symbolism and what they call directed conversations when they would have the people in the gang stalking community. We call it directed conversations.
Williams was deemed competent to stand trial by several doctors, meaning he understands right from wrong. He originally pled not guilty by reason of insanity, but he withdrew that defense on the first day of trial. In the midst of his testimony today, prosecutors objected to showing a montage of Williams' YouTube videos where he talks about being stalked. They are saying some of the testimony is hearsay and improper mental health evidence. Williams told his attorney today she was taking his questions out of order, and he also wants her to warn him when she gets to their last agreed upon question. Earlier today, the state showed a timeline of surveillance video showing Williams traveling from Miami to Palm Beach Gardens right up to that crime scene, and then hanging out all night long in various nearby areas throughout the night and into the next day. The judge called a halt to Williams' testimony and excused the jury, and then the lawyers started arguing about what was going to happen next. And in the middle of that, Williams raises his hand, says he wants to fire his attorneys, that they're not listening to what he wants to have produced. He also says they were talking about his mental health. The judge says they weren't. He kept on and on, so finally the judge said, why don't you go home, get a nice rest tonight in the jail. We'll start again tomorrow. It's been a long day. And that's when he said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. I'm sick. Look at my face. It's gaunt. I don't want to come back. Trial's over. I fired everybody. And that's when the judge got really stern. She goes, you will come back, Mr. Williams. And if you don't, I'll have the deputies bring you back. So testimony continuing tomorrow morning at 9:30. Semi Williams expected to be on the stand on the judge's orders, and we will bring you minute-by-minute developments as they occur in this tragic case of the murder of Ryan Rodgers.
The topic of Semi Williams' mental health has been at the heart of this trial since his arrest back in 2021. This is a copy of a motion filed back in 2022 to determine his competency. And according to the motion, 2 doctors examined Williams with both state and defense attorneys present. They found Williams competent to proceed and said he was able to communicate and understand the legal proceedings. But during a hearing in May of that year, according to this motion, the defense called another doctor to the witness stand, and she met with Williams 8 times over a 3-month period and said he did not have a rational, factual understanding of the